Good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm fully aware of the fact that I am standing between food and yourself. But also people told me that you don't eat. So let's just close the doors and we'll have a conversation for a couple of hours. I like to share the story of a tale of two cities. The first city is Baltimore, Maryland, year 1950. A city with 1 million people and sixth largest city in the Union. A city that represents 75% of the manufacturing jobs in the region. A city that is humming with industry such as the textile, automobile, chemical, cigar, processed sugar, and many, many list goes on. At the same time, it's the history of the first of many things. American Railroad, first electric refrigerator, first elevator, first public library, first YMCA. A huge history that involves. Now I'd like to take you to second city, the tale of the second city, Baltimore, Maryland, 2010. The population of 1 million is now reduced by 1/3. The city no longer is the sixth largest, it is the 21st. Indeed, that 75%, 3/4 of the jobs it represented in the region, now is about 1/3 and declining. 1 in 5 people live below the poverty line. 60,000 people are addicted to substance. 40,000 homes aborted and abandoned. And equally disturbing as it may be, the homicide rate is 6 times the national average. But ladies and gentlemen, this is not about Baltimore. This could be Memphis, or could be Milwaukee, could be Toledo, could be Oakland. And for that matter, all metropolitan cities of the United States. Issue is not about where we got there. Issue has to be, how do we get back to where we belong? Nationally, 1 in 5 children live below poverty line. 500,000 children are homeless. Another 750,000 children do have a roof over their head, but the security of food is in doubt. Grim statistics indeed. But at the same time, I'm about to tell you another statistics. In the 21st century, 60% of the jobs are such that require the skills. Only 20% of the people have it. 20% of the people have that skill. We know fully well the college education pays. That's a part of the propaganda. College education pays. It pays by 1 million over the life of an individual over a high school diploma. But ladies and gentlemen, those individuals with high school diploma in those communities, only 18% of people ever have a college degree in 6 years. What Bill Gates says, it's a terrible situation when we compare ourselves with other countries in the world. It indeed is a terrible situation. Not too long ago, we were number 1 in graduating kids from high school in the world. We were number 1 graduating kids in the university. We were number 1 in terms of proficiency in science and mathematics. These numbers now trail around 21 to 25. It indeed is a terrible situation. We increasingly contributing fewer and fewer knowledge workers to our world. If science and mathematics are the vehicle of innovation, then what we find ourselves, only 13% of our kids in high school take calculus. China, 100%. India has more honor students than we have students. Again, great fertility rate, please. We were actually heartened by the fact that 65,000 of talented students participated in the science fair sponsored by Intel. only to find out the Chinese had 6 million. So we have issue. The question is, how do we get back? How do we create one America that is healthy, that is strong? How do we make sure our children are in that other half of America that has hope and prosperity? That's the issue. We know the solution of creating yet another business or another factory in our community is not the solution. Because how would you create a successful business when there is a shortage of labor and knowledge workers? How would you create a successful business when there is violence? The old model we had was one of rising tide will lift all boat. Yes, indeed, the rising tide did come in the last 20 years. But it deposited sand in the beaches that were already wonderful beaches. In the sense, the rich became richer, the middle class got squeezed, and the poor fell off the cliff. The story goes like this. A farmer wants and expects to harvest the bumper crop, but never cared about the soil. The soil, making sure our community has no violence or no teenage pregnancy and other components. There are many, many factors that allow us to look at these communities. But let me pick the three: resilience, rhythm, and renewal. Resilience is something we can learn from businesses because they go through the process of economic ups and downs in the competitive environment. Resilience is also about adaptability. You know Charles Darwin? He said the species that are going to survive are not the ones which are the strongest or the most intelligent. The species that are going to survive are the ones which are most adaptable. And therefore, adaptability is part of resilience. Remember Hurricane Katrina? When it came ashore, FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, was thoroughly criticized for their inability to adapt, inability to provide the basic necessity of residents of Gulf states. At the same time, what is not known is that 2/3 of Walmart stores were up and running in 48 hours. Yes, indeed, the worker was under stress. Absolutely. But they knew how to adapt. They knew how to have the resilience. Similarly, our communities need to have the resilience to become resourceful. When the communities become resilient, they understand how to create redundancies in the recovery and the process of delivery. When communities become resilient, they learn from the past experiences, whether it be it's Katrina, whether it's a factory that is closed, which provided the main labor workforce. And the communities that are resilient, they run the what-if planning to prepare themselves for all the eventualities and reduce the vulnerability. The second factor is the rhythm. This morning you saw the rhythm, the music. Rhythm could be in a music, and rhythm could be in the life of people in their community. Rhythm could be one, for example, in basketball team. One night, the basketball team wins, the other one, they loses. And we said, tonight there was no chemistry. Because the chemistry is a rhythm. And it is not about an individual player or individual play. It is a symphony. It's the harmony that creates, that allows players to play and know where the ball is going to be. Same way, individual program or individual project, whether be it is reducing the teenage pregnancy or other things, cannot work in its isolation. They need to have the rhythm to build the community, to rejuvenate the community in our sense. But once you have the resilience, and when you have the rhythm, you lead to the idea of renewal. Renewal is about questioning our own assumptions, creating new goals, and changing our behaviors as we go along. If we don't do that, just ask ancient Egyptians, or Roman Empire, or never mind about that, Talk to our industries in automobile industry, or television, or textile, or for that matter, us CEO of Blockbuster. Ladies and gentlemen, to renew an organization or community is no different. In order to create the renewal, you need nothing but a fine, enlightened leadership. The leaders that are passionate, the leaders that are persistent, and they persevere, and there's some level of providence to those leadership. The leadership that are competent, and the most important, being human, is the leadership that is compassionate. And above all, the leaders that have highest integrity. That's in short supply nowadays. When Alexander the Great was marching across Asia Minor, conquering the land, his advance party came back. He said, Alexander the Great, where you sent us, it's not on the map. To which Alexander replied, the mediocre armies stay in the map. The great armies make the map bigger. How do we make the map bigger? Is one of part of the traits of leadership. And it is incumbent on the universities and higher education to educate leaders who are going to be responsible for resilience, going to be responsible for rhythm and the renewal of our cities and communities. In order to create those leaders, we must put them in experiences of their lifetime, solving the big problems of our humanity. Wouldn't it be really educational experience if the students have the first-hand understanding and knowledge of what happened in Rwanda, where 1 million people perished because of sectarian killing and ethnic cleansing? Wouldn't it be educational experience to send them to India, where 40% of the women of the childbearing age are anemic? Those are big problems. How do we solve them? But remember this, there are many, many solutions exist in our backyard, right here in Maryland. Let me share with you one example. Samaritan women. Have you heard that? Samaritan women is an entity that's not for profit. What do? First and foremost, they provide the shelter to women who have been either have recovering from prostitution, drug trafficking, or sex trafficking and those social evils. At the same time, they have a farm, some 24 acres of urban farm. They grow vegetables. And they use those vegetables to teach these women the culinary art, to provide them self-sustaining income over a period of time. The third thing they do is to can those vegetables to create the revenue generation to feed the process and the operation. The fourth thing they do, whenever it is left, they use that to provide the shelters, the food. All these activities, be it is about canning, be it is home for shelter for women, or be it is actually providing the food to shelters, is all in harmony, in a true example of resilience, rhythm, and renewal. That's absolutely true. But they don't sit around waiting for next grant or a next gift. Therefore, stay away from the basic idea of poverty of thought. Can you imagine if you give me $1 million, that's the only time I will do something for the people? It is like having a plane, but no engine. In summary, ladies and gentlemen, what if indeed we have people who are averse to the idea of poverty of thought? What if we indeed educate people who participate in Samaritan women, whether it be digging the ground or helping them to create a new economic model? What if we have individual great leaders in the making who feel about humanity and humility? What if we prepare leaders who are the seed planters and not the bean counters? I believe we do that, we will build the resilience, we will build the rhythm, we will renew our communities. As a result, I sincerely believe the best of America is yet to come. Thank you very much.